He knew he had made a mistake the moment everyone stopped moving. Not slowed down, not hesitated, stopped. "That's not normal," he whispered to himself, adjusting the collar of his jacket like that might somehow make him less noticeable. "That is definitely not a welcome guest reaction." He had been doing fine up until that point. Walking, nodding politely, trying to look like someone who absolutely belonged in a palace that could probably erase him with a mild administrative decision. Then the Queen looked at him, not at his face, at his jacket, and everything broke. "You have got to be kidding me," he muttered under his breath, forcing a small, completely unconvincing smile as several guards subtly repositioned around him. The Queen stepped down from her position, slowly, deliberately, which was somehow worse than if she had rushed him. "This is fine," he thought. "This is just a misunderstanding. Maybe she really likes jackets." She stopped in front of him, close enough that he could feel the shift in the air around her, controlled, precise, like reality itself had agreed to behave differently in her presence. He kept smiling. "Do not say anything stupid." She reached out, not toward him, toward the jacket. His jacket, the one he had owned for as long as he could remember. The one that had never seemed particularly important until about 10 seconds ago when it apparently became the center of an interstellar crisis. "No pressure," he whispered. Her fingers hovered just above the fabric, and then she froze, not slightly, completely. Her expression didn't change, it fractured, just for a moment, but everyone saw it. "Oh," he thought, "that's bad. That's very bad." Her voice when she spoke was not loud, but it carried through the entire chamber. "That belongs to my husband." Silence, absolute. He blinked once. "I'm sorry, what?" No one laughed, no one reacted. Which meant she wasn't joking. He glanced down at the jacket, then back at her. "I can explain," he said carefully, a pause. "I just don't know how yet." The guards moved instantly, not aggressively, not violently, but decisively. Positions locked, paths closed, options removed. "Great," he muttered. "I'm being escorted politely, that's always worse." The Queen didn't move. Her gaze remained fixed on the jacket, not on him, on it, like it was more real than he was. "That material does not exist," she said. Not to him, to the room, to herself. He raised a hand slightly. "Okay, in my defense," he said, "I didn't manufacture it, I just wear it." No response. Humor not helping. She looked at him again, and this time it was different, not shock, not confusion, recognition, and something beneath it, something far less stable. "You will remove it," she said. The words were calm, controlled, not optional. He hesitated. "I feel like this is the point where I should refuse," he thought, a beat. "I am not going to refuse." He slowly took the jacket off, carefully, like it might react if he moved too fast. "This is officially the most stressful clothing removal of my life." He held it out. She didn't take it immediately. She studied it, the stitching, the surface, the way the fabric seemed to shift just slightly under the light. "Okay," he whispered. "That's new, it never did that before." Her hand finally closed around it, and the moment she touched it, something changed. Not in the room, in the space between them. A subtle distortion, a recognition. Like two things that had been separated for too long had just realized they were connected again. She inhaled sharply, barely noticeable, but real. "I don't like that," he said quietly. Her gaze lifted to his. And this time she wasn't looking at a stranger. "You are not him," she said. The words were firm, certain, but beneath them doubt. He exhaled. "Good," he replied, "because that would be very complicated." A pause. "I'm already struggling with this situation as it is." The silence returned, but it wasn't the same. It wasn't empty. It was waiting. And for the first time he realized something important. This wasn't about the jacket, not entirely. It was about what it meant. And whatever that was, he was already in the middle of it. He had been escorted before. Usually it involved someone saying "this way" and him pretending he knew where this way was. This was different. This felt like the building itself had decided he was going somewhere, and the guards were just there to make sure he didn't develop independent thoughts along the way. "I would like to formally state," he muttered under his breath as they moved through a corridor that seemed longer than it had been a second ago. That I did not intend to start a historical identity crisis. No one responded, of course. He glanced at the guards. Not even a little laugh, he tried. That was at least a mild joke. Nothing. Tough crowd. The Queen walked ahead of him, still holding the jacket, not casually. Not like an object, like something fragile, something that might disappear if she didn't keep a precise hold on it. That's my jacket, he thought. I've used it as a pillow before. The corridor shifted slightly as they passed, the walls adjusting, the light narrowing just enough to make the path feel more contained. I am definitely not going back to the main hall anytime soon. They stopped. A door, or what passed for one, unfolded in front of them. It didn't open so much as allow passage. That's unsettling, he whispered. The Queen stepped inside. He followed, because not following seemed like a very short plan. The space beyond was quieter, not silent, but controlled, like whatever happened here wasn't meant to leave. Excellent, he said softly. Private conversation room, that always goes well. The guards remained outside, the door sealed. He turned slightly, watching it close. No witnesses, he added. That's comforting in a very concerning way. The Queen didn't sit, didn't move to a position of authority. She stood in the center, still holding the jacket, her attention fixed on it in a way that made him feel like he was the less important part of the situation. I'm starting to take that personally. He crossed his arms, then uncrossed them immediately when he realized that might look defensive. So, he said, I assume this is the part where you explain why my fashion choices are apparently a historical issue. No response. She lifted the jacket slightly. The fabric shifted. He froze. Okay, he said quietly. That's new. It definitely did not do that before. The surface of the jacket, something he had always thought was just old, moved subtly like threads aligning, reacting to her touch. I have questions, he added. Many questions. Her voice came, calm but thinner than before. This material cannot be replicated, she said, not to him. To the reality she was trying to confirm, he nodded slowly. All right, he said. I'm going to assume that's bad. A pause, for me specifically. She finally looked at him again, not with shock this time, with focus. Where did you obtain it? She asked. He blinked. That's the problem, he said. I didn't. Silence. He shifted slightly. I've had it as long as I can remember, he continued, which I realize is not helpful. A faint tension moved through her posture, not anger, something sharper. Memory is unreliable, she said. The words were controlled, but the meaning beneath them, that was not. He frowned. I don't like the direction this is going. She stepped closer. The jacket in her hand responded again, the subtle movement in its structure becoming more precise, more deliberate. It's reacting to you, he realized, a pause, or to both of us. He took a step back instinctively. That's worse. She watched him carefully now, not just observing, comparing. You are not him, she repeated. But this time there was less certainty in it. He let out a small breath. Good, he said, because I don't think I'd handle being someone else very well. A beat. I'm already struggling with being me. The jacket shifted again. Stronger this time. The patterns along its surface aligning in a way that made no sense, until he felt it, a flicker, not a memory, not fully, just something, a sensation of familiarity that didn't belong to him. He froze. No, he said quietly, we're not doing that. The Queen saw it, of course she did, her focus sharpened instantly. You felt it, she said, not a question. He shook his head immediately. No, he replied. I absolutely did not feel anything that suggests my life is about to get significantly more complicated. A pause, which means I definitely did. Silence stretched between them, heavy, waiting. Then she stepped even closer. Close enough that the space between them felt unstable. You will tell me everything, she said. The command was clear, absolute. He held her gaze, and for a moment he considered lying, then exhaled. I don't have everything to tell, he said. That's kind of the problem. A faint shift moved through her expression, not frustration, something deeper. You are connected, she said. The words landed differently this time, not as an accusation, as a realization. He nodded slowly. Yeah, he admitted, I'm starting to get that. The jacket pulsed again, stronger, and this time he didn't just feel it, he almost understood it, almost. That's not good, he whispered. The queen didn't move, didn't look away. And for the first time, he saw something in her that hadn't been there before. Not control, not certainty, fear. Okay, he said quietly. That's significantly worse. He decided very carefully that ignoring the problem was no longer a valid strategy. I mean, it was working, he said quietly, pacing once across the room, then stopping because the space subtly adjusted like it preferred him not to do that. Not well, but it was working. The queen didn't respond. She was still holding the jacket, but now it wasn't just something she examined. It was something she was listening to. That bothered him. You're not just looking at it, he said. You're reading it. A pause. Please tell me you're not reading it. Her gaze didn't leave the fabric. It is responding, she said, not to him, to something deeper. He exhaled slowly. Yeah, he muttered. I noticed. I preferred it when it didn't. The jacket pulsed again, subtle but stronger than before. He felt it this time without trying. A flicker, a fragment gone before he could hold on to it. He stepped back immediately. No, he said, louder now. We are still not doing that. Her attention snapped to him, sharp. You accessed it, she said. He shook his head. I did not access anything, he replied. Things are accessing me, which is a very different and much less comfortable situation. A brief silence followed. Then she stepped closer. Again. Every step she took seemed to narrow the space between what she believed and what she feared. You are stabilizing the signal, she said. The words were controlled, but the meaning beneath them, that was not. He frowned. I'm sorry, I'm doing what? She held his gaze. You are not rejecting it, she continued. You are aligning with it. He laughed once, short, uncertain. That is a very optimistic interpretation of what's happening, he said. From my perspective, I am barely holding it together. Another pulse, stronger. This time he didn't just feel it. He saw something, not clearly, not completely, but enough. A corridor, different, older, a voice not hers, not his. This is getting out of hand, he whispered. The image vanished, gone, leaving only the echo of recognition. He staggered slightly, catching himself before he could fully lose balance. Okay, he said. That's new and I don't approve. The queen didn't move, didn't intervene, but something in her expression shifted again. Less control, more certainty. You are remembering, she said. He shook his head immediately. No, he replied. I am definitely not remembering. I would know if I was remembering. These are unauthorized impressions. A pause. I would like them to stop. The jacket pulsed again, faster now, more precise. The patterns along its surface aligning in a way that felt intentional, directed. Toward him, he took another step back. I think it likes me, he said quietly. I don't like that. Her voice came softer this time, not weaker, more focused. It recognizes you, she said. The meaning landed clearly. Not speculation, fact. He looked at the jacket, then at her, then back at the jacket. Recognizes me as what? He asked. A long pause followed, not hesitation, careful selection, then as him. The room didn't change, but everything in it did. He didn't move, didn't speak. For a moment the idea didn't even fully process. No, he said finally, not loudly, not defensively, just firmly. No, he repeated. That's not how that works. The jacket pulsed again, stronger. This time the fragment stayed longer. A memory or something like it, a hand adjusting the same fabric. Not his hand, not his perspective, but familiar, too familiar. He closed his eyes tightly. Stop, he whispered. The image faded, slowly, reluctantly. He opened his eyes again, breathing steadier now, but only just. That's not me, he said to her, to himself, to whatever was listening. She didn't argue, didn't correct him. But she didn't agree either. He was divided, she said. The words came carefully, measured. He did not survive as one. The meaning settled into him, unavoidable fragments, versions, lives. He shook his head. That's a theory, he replied. Not a conclusion. A pause. I am still very much me. Another pulse, this time stronger than all the others. The jacket reacted, the space reacted, and he felt it, not just a fragment, a connection, brief, sharp. Enough to make him take a step back. Okay, he said quietly, that's a problem. The queen stepped forward, closer than before, her gaze locked onto his, not searching, confirming. They will come, she said. He blinked. Who? Her answer came immediately. Those who ended him. The words landed heavily, final. He exhaled slowly. And they're going to assume I'm him, he said. A pause, which is not ideal because I'm not entirely convinced I'm not. Silence filled the room again, but it wasn't empty. It was waiting. And for the first time he understood something clearly. This wasn't about proving who he was, it was about deciding it. Great, he muttered. No pressure. He didn't speak immediately. Not because he had nothing to say, but because, for the first time, saying the wrong thing felt like it might actually matter. Okay, he said quietly, running a hand through his hair, then stopping halfway because he wasn't entirely sure which version of himself that gesture belonged to anymore. Let's organize the situation. A pause. I may or may not be a fragmented version of someone who definitely had a much more complicated life than I signed up for. He glanced at the jacket. It pulsed softly in the queen's hand, not reacting, waiting. And that thing, he added, pointing at it, is apparently very invested in me figuring that out. The queen didn't interrupt, didn't correct him. She was watching him now, not the jacket, not the fragments, him, evaluating something deeper than identity. They are approaching, she said. The words were calm, but the meaning beneath them immediate. He exhaled. Of course they are, he muttered, because this wasn't stressful enough. He looked at her, really looked this time. You believe I'm him, he said, not accusing, not defensive, just clear, a pause. Then I believe you are what remains, she replied. He nodded slowly. That's not better. Another pulse moved through the jacket, stronger, more insistent. This time he didn't step back, didn't resist. He closed his eyes briefly. Okay, he said under his breath. Let's try something different. The connection came again, not forced, not invasive, offered. Fragments surfaced, not overwhelming, not consuming, just enough. A voice not his, but familiar. A memory of standing where he stood now, of making a choice. He opened his eyes. You didn't want this either, he said quietly. The realization settled into him, not as fear, as understanding. The queen's expression shifted, slightly. What did you see? She asked. He hesitated. Then he didn't plan to become this, he said. He was trying to survive something. A pause. Something that broke him instead. The jacket pulsed again, but softer this time, less urgent. As if it had been heard, he exhaled slowly. Okay, he added. That changes things. Another tremor moved through the palace, closer now. He felt it, not just physically, something else, approaching. They are here, she said. He nodded. Right on schedule. He looked at the jacket, then at her, then back at the jacket. So this is the part where I become him, he said, not a question, a possibility. The silence that followed answered everything. He let out a small breath. And lose everything that makes me me. Another pause, not ideal. The jacket pulsed again, but this time he understood it, not words, not commands, an option. He blinked. Wait, he said. He stepped closer. Not reaching for it yet, just thinking. You don't need to complete it, he said slowly. The queen frowned. What are you implying? He looked at her, then back at the jacket. He divided himself to survive, he continued. But he never planned to come back as one. A pause, that wasn't the goal. The realization clicked into place, not as a memory, as logic. He left fragments, he said. Different lives, different choices. He looked at her again. And I'm one of them. The room held still. The tremor outside grew stronger, closer. But for the first time he wasn't reacting to it. He was deciding. I don't have to become him, he said. The words felt right, clear. I can understand him, he added. Learn from what he was, a small breath, but I don't have to disappear into it. The jacket pulsed once. Then it stilled, not rejecting, accepting. The queen stepped closer, her gaze searching his. "You would reject what you were?" she asked. He smiled faintly. "I don't think I'm rejecting it," he said. "I think I'm choosing what to do with it." Another tremor, stronger. The palace responded, shifting, preparing. He took the jacket from her hands. This time it didn't react violently. It settled, as if it had found the answer it was waiting for. "Okay," he said quietly. "That's new." He put it back on, not as armor, not as identity. Just part of him, the connection remained, but it didn't take over, it aligned. The queen watched him carefully, not with shock, not with certainty, something else. "You are not him," she said. He nodded. "No," he replied, a small pause. "But I understand why you thought I was." The tremor stopped. Silence followed, not empty, resolved. He exhaled slowly. "I think they just realized something changed," he said. The palace felt different, stabilized. The threat gone. Or no longer relevant. He looked at her, then around the room, then back at her.